Hey guys, Elizabeth, curly-haired country gal here, taking some yummy meat to the roosters and hens. I just got done taking it to the chicks. I want to give my animals high quality food, just like I want to feed myself high quality food, but I know dogs really don't need grains, and all dog food that you're going to find has a lot of grain in it. And I believe that chickens don't even really need grain, or at least not nearly as much as we give them. I happen to be a person who isn't afraid to ask questions. Sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes that's not a good thing or not that great of a thing. But overall, I really like that about myself. If they say no to the question, no big deal, no problem. But if they say yes, then me and my family can end up saving a lot of money and producing good things. Now, it's all well and good to want to give your animals high quality protein and high quality food, but it's not cheap. This girl needs to eat about 1.1 pounds a day, 5% of her body weight. And I really like the idea of giving her a raw food diet, but it's just not something that really I'm willing to spend all that money on right now. The hens, I believe I read that hens can eat 1/3 of a pound a day. And so there's 10 of them out there. So assuming they're finding some bugs as well, that's about 2 pounds, a little more than 2 pounds that they could eat a day. And then we have 4 roosters, so that's a little over a pound a day too. So that's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the cat that we have as well that I'd like to feed. So that's 5 pounds, 5+ pounds a day of meat if I want to give my animals high quality food. So that's where being an asker comes in. Now I still do give my chickens grains, not crazy about it, but I gave them the 16% crumbles, even for the roosters who don't even need that much protein because they're not making eggs. In fact, my roosters are really doing nothing right now. They're not keeping the hens safe. They're not fertilizing eggs. They're just enjoying the country life. So as I got this compost system started, which is all frozen now, but I approached my local grocery store a couple times. I started to meet the manager and get to know him. And I was able to ask him, hey, is it okay if I come by once or twice a week to pick up expired produce? And he said, yeah, no big deal, that's fine. In addition, it occurred to me, wait a second, people have to put expiration dates on meat too. And yes, of course, you have to be careful with meat. But I talked to the meat guy and said, hey, I pick up expired produce. Do you guys ever have meat that you need to get rid of if it's just barely expired? And he said, well, yeah, sure. So I've been picking up an average of 20 to 40 pounds of barely expired meat every week. Now I get all kinds of meat. I get steaks and pork chops and roasts and ground beef. You're not gonna be able to do that in every state or at every store, but living in a small town with a small town grocery store, they are allowed to do that, which is awesome. Now, it's especially nice when I can get barely expired, sometimes just expired that day, food, and I can bring it home, especially if it's ground beef, and then I can just put it in the freezer and use it when I need it. It's definitely not as convenient when I get the roasts and the pork chops and the steaks. The dog will eat steaks and things like that. Speaking of which, there she is, wanting to get in here, seeing what I'm up to. But when I get the steaks and the pork chops, the chickens aren't really interested in eating that or picking it apart themselves. I kind of expected them to be like total dinosaurs and just like devour everything. But they don't go as crazy about that as I thought they might, which means that I have to go ahead and grind things up. So as a matter of fact, right now I got out of the truck my haul. She got to it before I did. I think this is about 16, maybe 20 pounds from the store the other day. So this is awesome, and I'm really thankful. So now I gotta take it inside, divide it up, grind it, or just store it temporarily and then make time to grind it. You'll see how I take a whole bunch of meat, and here I am getting it all sorted out, put on the table and cut up. From there, I need to go ahead and dice it, or mince it, I guess, grind it into a lot smaller pieces for the chickens. This may seem like a lot of work, and to be honest, it is a lot of work. and I'm not sure it's very sustainable. If I want this to be sustainable, I think I'm really gonna need to get a meat grinder. This food processor that I have is doing the job pretty well, but it's pretty small. This is actually the first time I've used the grinder for food, because normally I get a lot more ground beef. I've been getting a lot of steaks recently and just kind of sticking them in the freezer and then just not really using them. So this process took about an hour and a half, maybe a little less than that. That's a lot of time. So I am hoping to upgrade to something sooner than later to continue this process. However, this did yield 14 pounds of ground up meat. So, you know, it doesn't last forever. That's still a little less than 3 days worth of meat for the animals. But it's 3 days of them not having kibble and grain and basically junk food for animals. So that's gonna go in there until tomorrow when I need it. These guys are so anxious to get out of here. I start to open it and they're like, oh, I wanna get out. Ah, no, stay in there. And then they like go after my hand because they know I'm gonna give them food. Ah, no, don't eat me. They just devour it. Hi, Dinkins. One other bonus to getting all this meat is that sometimes it has bones in it, like these ones that I just cut the meat off of, and there were 3 here a second ago, and the dog is already running off with them. I think she buries them. But that's one less thing I have to buy and worry about. She gets to have some great bones to sharpen her teeth and clean her teeth, and it's one less thing I have to pay for. Where'd she go? This time with the meat, I went ahead and just tried to keep things a little more simple. As I continue the experiment, I just used our sharpest knife, which is starting to not be so sharp. I need to sharpen it. And scissors when needed. I still went ahead and used the Immersion blender for the meat for the chicks because I'm not sure that they can eat a little bit bigger pieces. So we're gonna deliver that and see how they like it. Just to practice using it, I'm gonna go ahead and get the cart that I made, the dog cart, and with Junebug here. Hi, Junebug. She's so ready. And so she's gonna help me pull just our containers of meat around to the various locations and get some practice with the cart. You ready to go, June? You ready to go? Good girl. Good dog. Okay, here comes the feeding frenzy. That's good, huh, guys? Chick. Well, the chickens don't seem quite as excited about this diced meat as they did the ground meat. They are still eating it, so that's good. There just might be some more waste. They might not get all of it. But in the summer, spring and summer, and even fall, them not eating food, not eating meat, just means that there's gonna be maggots on it, which is more bugs for them. I'll have to come out here and see tomorrow how much of this is gone. Now, using the blender last night instead of the food grinder was really helpful with making that go a lot faster. It did die a couple times, but it was way faster than using the grinder. We made it back. We got our 1 egg. And we got the girl. Good girl, Junebug. An interesting concept from doing the pulley system was that there's always some give and take. Now with the pulley system, you're exchanging more distance, more rope for less effort. And that just kind of got me thinking, because that's really what it's about with this meat project too, is, you know, I have a set amount of money that I have to kind of get this homestead started, and then I want it to be pretty self-sustainable. So then I either need to recuperate the costs by diverting funds from our food fund that I'm saving by harvesting my own chickens, etc., or I need to just keep cutting costs. In this example, the trade-off is time or money. I could spend a certain amount of money to eliminate all this work and buy really high quality food for my animals. Here comes the dog. Or I could use my time to get free food, but then I have to grind it up myself. Right now, it's more worth it to me to use the time that I have available, or that I make time for, to get really high quality food for my animals. But I can get tools that will help. You know what? This whole recording as I walk thing is actually kind of tricky. What was I saying again? What am I doing? Why am